Okay, awesome. Okay, Dr. Hell, so thank you for being the sole audience, the bravest of them all. The pilot audience, truly. Okay, so then, and it truly is a pilot because I'm going to try a lot of fun stuff. So as a little brief introduction, even though you noted that the title is 7-week hybrid pedagogy workshop series, as you know, most of our students, 2/3 of them, are not children. So while what I talk about today will apply to our dual enrollment students, I don't teach a dual enrollment hybrid class. Mine is full semester face-to-face. So really, I should have done a better job looking at this earlier, but it's really going to be an andragogy workshop. We're going to focus on adult learners for the purpose of this. And like you mentioned, it is a 3-part series, so time will tell whether each of these 3 parts are uniform or whether they vary. 3. So I'll give this 3 different times. And okay. So we'll see how many of them we get to today. I'm really interested. I think we'll go faster today since it's just 2 of us. 3 if we count Chad.
Let's do.
So looking at the agenda, I'll start with a brief background. Yes. Oh, bringing politics into this. And then here are the subtopics. And of course, I'm going to let some of the theoretical framework today influence the design for the workshop and give you a lot of autonomy. You will pick which of the subtopics we cover and in what order. And since you're by yourself, you and Chad, you can lean on Chad for help. He's seen the slides, so he kind of has an advantage. He knows he might have strong opinions. And then, of course, we'll end with how we could continue this conversation. So looking at my approach to this topic when I came to Chattanooga State last year, in my interview, they told me, yes, you will be teaching on the accelerated course format. And they made sure that I was okay with it, that I was comfortable with it. And I had a little bit of previous experience at Cleveland State on accelerated course format, not to the extent we have here, but I did a cohort class for Maytag, and that was an accelerated course. And so I felt comfortable, felt confident. When I got here and I started teaching, I was like, oh man, I really need to know more about accelerated courses. And so last year, I kind of focused on learning more about accelerated courses and also our Chat State decision-making process. Dr. Hell, of course, has read a lot of my papers, and so he understands a lot more of my journey. What I did not realize was that not only would I be teaching on an accelerated course format, I would also be teaching a hybrid modality. And that was really lost on me until this year. The light bulb came on and I realized, oh, I'm teaching a hybrid course. And so I really wanted to take the opportunity to learn what it means to teach hybrid. And so that is how I come to stand before you today. I was able to do an individual study at UTC this semester looking at the hybrid course format, and that's really been very educational, very helpful. But I also want to preface this by saying I am very much a novice, not an expert on the hybrid course. So everything I share, I hope that you'll bring what you have learned as well to the table so that I can continue learning. The 2 major works that I have enjoyed reading, in addition to a lot of research articles, and you'll see references to those throughout the workshop today, and also I'll give you a copy of the reference list. But the first one is by Dr. J. Caulfield. She began her academic career in nursing and then spent 20 years in healthcare administration. And before coming on board at Marquette University, she's currently Associate Professor of Management. She is considered one of the leaders in blended learning. And so her book, I highly recommend it. It's very user-friendly and really walks you through practical suggestions and tips to design a better hybrid course. The second book is The Student-Centered Pedagogy and Course Transformation and at Scale. And this is written by Chantel Levis Bristol. And she is basically our version of Andy Burns. So at Purdue University, she helps with their what they call Project Impact. And it stands for, I wanted to make sure I said it correctly, Instruction Matters, Purdue Academic Course Transformation Program. And so what they have there is a faculty fellows program where faculty volunteer to come in and work on course redesign. They use a mentor program, they use a cohort, and so reading that book, it does talk a lot about hybrid courses, but more talks about how to usher in large scale organizational change. So that was a really helpful resource. So both of those are great and really helped with my study this semester. Now it is your turn. So, hello. Okay, so no, you're not. You're just on time. This is great. So you can pick which topic we cover first. And these are the choices. So now it was going to be just Dr. Hill and Chad, but William, if you have a preference, idea, theoretical approaches, chat state data, participant idea exchange, and strategies and tools. Okay, William says strategies. So, all right, let's get. I know. I thought like we should really set this up like Jeopardy. So then, yes. Okay, 3 main strategies for designing an effective hybrid course. And this section is going to really lean heavily on the work at Purdue, the impact program. So first of all, you have to start with learning objectives. And this is also consistent with the research of Allen in 2020 and Harwood and others in 2018. And what they made their faculty fellows at Purdue do when they came on board to their course redesign program, they made them sit down and reduce their course learning objectives to 3 or 4. My course has 6 course learning objectives. 6 course learning objectives to accomplish in a hybrid modality in 7 weeks. That's a lot. And so really and they said this is a very arduous process. Of course, I'm not in control of my own course learning objectives. They are handed down to me. So while I would love to reduce them down, I think I can still get at the mindset and like what is most essential in the course. What do I want students to walk out of the course doing? Because when we reduce them down to a fewer set, then we can work on that backwards course design. Now that I've got my learning objectives, let's look at the learning activities and align those. And also, it's very important, Bennett et al. In 2020 and Zubian and others in 2018 said it's not just that we understand it ourselves from an instructional point of view, but we have to communicate to the students. This is our learning objective that we're working on today, and we're going to accomplish it by doing this, this, and this. And you can't just put it in the syllabus. And I'm often guilty of that. It's in the syllabus. I assume they read it. We know they don't. And we move on. But until we constantly reinforce, we're writing this paper, we're having this workshop because we're trying to do this learning objective, then you're going to see that students can walk away understanding what they've learned and seeing those connections. And you're going to reduce their tendency to think that we give them busy work because they can see clear alignment. The second thing is the learning activities. So once you have your learning objectives ready as a strategy for the hybrid course design, then the learning activities, you want learning activities according to Allen in 2020 and Caulfield in 2023 that promote active learning. Things that get the students to be active. So where traditional courses focus heavily on lecture format, we now see that is not utilizing most of the multiple intelligences that our students have. Also, we want learning activities that allow for student choice. And this is consistent with the research of Allen in 2020 and Zhu et al. In 2023. We want to view our role as instructors as facilitators. So, we're guiding the students through the learning activity, but they're doing the work. We don't need to do the work anymore. Gone are the days when the instructor contained all the knowledge and poured it out, in that lecture format, because now we have the internet and ChatGPT. They can access the information without me. So how can I design my learning activities to help them find the information, use the information, critically assess the information to meet those learning objectives. Oh, and let's see, we want to encourage students to speak in class. And this is where and in giving students choice, and we'll talk about autonomy a little bit later, it can be their choice, not just what to cover. Like I said, what do you want to talk about first for our workshop, but also how to do the assignment. So this was given to me in a Dropbox yesterday. So listen to this. Maybe.
Well, and understand the guidelines for this speech. My audience will be 5 minutes.
So this assignment, a student elected to turn in using a voice file in the Dropbox. The other students, type out, I will have 5 audience. It's a contract so that they understand. It's so simple. And yet when I heard him elect to do the voice file, I smiled. I sent it to Mary and Priscilla. I said, look, a student did. And Mary said, oh my goodness, if 40 students did that, I would lose my. They're not all going to pick the voice file. But it was so reassuring to see my audience will be blah, blah, blah. And here are my initials. I understand the assignment. And so I just gave him a choice in that learning activity, and he decided, how to complete it. So thinking outside could meet the same objective and do the same activity, but turn it in different ways. We have a lot of freedom, and giving students that freedom, even if they pick the typed out one, they had the choice. And so that gives them a sense of entitlement, and I think they enjoy that more. Peer interaction is another way that we can design learning activities to best facilitate learning in a hybrid format, because we have the opportunity to interact both online in that learning space and in person, as well as peer workshops noted by Brockelman, Post, and Hossack in 2014. Online discussions are a powerful tool for the hybrid learning activity, and we can talk a little bit more about that. And as far as the textbook, this one was one that shocked me as a learning activity. I've never considered the textbook a learning activity. I'm currently working with Priscilla and Mary on our course redesign to do the OER. And I'm just amazed at the work that Hollyanna and Rosie with the RISE learning objects, and how the textbook, truly that kind of a textbook, is more interactive. There's learning checks, there's, animated little people that talk to us. But I never thought about reading as a learning activity. So that's something that I've really been exploring, because to me, it just seems, like one-dimensional. But that is found in the research by Schneider and Walter Reed in 2009, Unger et al. In 2022. And then another learning activity that's on my radar, and I'm too afraid right now to use it, is the e-portfolio. Bennett et al. Talks about how letting students create artifacts for their e-portfolio could be a really powerful learning activity. And I agree. I'm scared on how to facilitate that in full transparency, even though I know that others at our college have done this work before. So, maybe, but the e-portfolio as a learning activity would allow things that we do in the classroom to live beyond our class. That student wouldn't put that in a portfolio, but he'll have a video recording of his speech. That would be good portfolio material. But, will he do it if I don't, strongly encourage or, make that an assignment? I don't know. So leaning into that is something I would like to see. And then the third strategy is the learning space. You have your learning objectives, and now we know which activities support those learning objectives. So then the final piece of a hybrid space, of a hybrid course, is learning which activity goes in which realm. Because in hybrid, we'll have our online realm, and then we'll have our face-to-face realm. So where would reading a textbook best fit? Online or in-person realm? In person. So and I think it varies with your class. If you're teaching learning support and students are really struggling, and you say, I've tried it in the online realm, and when we came back face to face, I realized nobody actually read it. it, they did not do that learning activity, did not work. So we read part of it, and I do read a lot of the textbook to them with them. They read it with me in learning support classes. For my COM 2025, I don't do reading the textbook in class. They complete that in their online portion of the class. Yeah, we do have a textbook. Yeah, but and that's the funny part. Well, not funny. That's our work this year. We have a textbook, Communication Pathways, and it's a top hat textbook. And we are working on a grant right now to produce an OER textbook, so that we can. It's an $80 fee for our students that they pay. It's a gen ed class, and they pay that for 7-week access to a textbook. So of course, this is going to be revolutionary for them to be able to have an OER textbook, and they'll have access to it forever, and it's free. So we're really excited about that. Would you rather do that in person, where you can walk around and see the groups, and help guide them in their discussion? Maybe you do it in person the first time, and then for the next essay, you say, okay, now we're going to do the peer editing workshop online. And before you will have exchanged papers, and you will have given the feedback, and then we'll come back. So picking out where to put each activity in what learning space, and realizing for some in your class and how motivated they are. With my dual enrollment students right now at Ottawa High School, I have a very high functioning class right now. Even though it's not hybrid, I'm able to do different activities with them than I was able to do with the students in the fall. It's just incredible. So being aware that you, even if you have it like really well designed, you might still have to shift your course around depending on who's sitting in your room. Dr. Hill. I do that a lot too. I'll start an activity in class so that they clearly understand the instructions, and they've started, and then I say, okay, great, time is up for today. You're going to finish this and turn it in, by Sunday or whatever. So yeah, that's the beauty of hybrid, is that the learning doesn't stop when the class is over. It continues, and so realizing that a lot of our learning activities can live in both spaces is also really cool, I think. And it just really frees you up. You have to be sure with the learning spaces that you are intentional at communicating that to the students. We're going to do this in here so that, I can, help get you started or whatever, but also, communicating this is a hybrid course. You have to put in more time after you leave our physical class, because a lot of students don't even realize, in my experience, they don't even realize they've signed up for a hybrid class. It's just an H, at the end of the course designation. So they might walk in and not even realize that it is hybrid. And so really being intentional and telling them what that means. This also, of course, goes back to the flipped classroom workshop that Dr. Harrington did for us, because you can use flipped classroom really well as a learning activity in the online learning space. I, of course, wanted to follow up with her workshop and show you a little bit about my YouTube channel and talk about how to set that up if you want some information about that.
This is what
Oh, it was playing his voice file. I was like, whoa. Okay, so just like Dr. Harrington mentioned, doing her flipped classroom, I do this to some extent, and I've found various levels of success with this. Of course, I love using YouTube as a learning platform for my students because it's free. I can upload, many files, as many as I want. I haven't reached my limit if there is one yet. And it stores them really neatly. Another advantage of YouTube is that the students, I can embed the video links into the LMS, into D2L, but then they can also subscribe. I think I have 7 subscribers at the moment. I think some of them unsubscribe too. So they can subscribe, and then they can just go directly to their phone and access that content if they want. They can see new videos pop up. So when I do videos on YouTube for my class, I have 3 different types of videos. I have announcement videos, like this one right here says course evaluation time. And so that video is, oh, it didn't say how long. It's probably less than a minute long, and it just tells students it's time to fill out your course evaluation survey. As you can also note, there are no views. I made this video last year. No one watched it. Does that hurt my feelings? Not at all, because even, I know, right, ouch. And this was a summer course. You can see this is my summer playlist because it's a 10-week course. So I've labeled my titles so I can keep them straight because, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But no one watched that video. But even the presence of that video, when they see that thumbnail and they see the title, course evaluation, I will back that up in my LMS by saying it's time to fill out your course evaluation survey. And then they might just say for her to make a video, I should fill out my course evaluation survey. And some of my students don't need me to walk them through the process of how to fill it out. They have been here long enough. They've avoided my class as long as they can. Now they have to give a speech. They fill out. And so no big deal, you know. So don't, that's the other advantage of YouTube is that you have analytics. I can see how many people are watching the videos, and I can go specifically to each video and look at how long did each. I can do some really deep diving to see where I should spend my time, my instructor time, as far as making videos.
Like your students, and only the comm students see that.
No, but you can make YouTube videos unlisted so that only people with the links. I could care less if random person finds my YouTube video. You can obviously see that no one else cares either. So I have mine set because I know, and yeah, if someone stumbles across this and they're another instructor overseas and they, oh, how does she run this course? I would like. I'm not an expert. These are not great videos. They're filmed in my office. Oh, I forgot to bring that. I just have the little clippy thing, you know, that holds my phone. Very low tech. I don't think, and I don't care. So yeah, you can set them to be private or unlisted if you want to. I think there's nothing that I care. So announcement video and then assignment video. So all of these right here are what I call assignment videos. Each week, if you're in my online class, I have an assignment video that just tells you your work for the week. Can you read it in the syllabus in the course? Yes, you can. It's right there. So, but do you want your instructor to just say, hey, last week we did this and this. It's going to help us get ready for the speech. We're going to be working on our research. And then next week, we're going to plug the research. So it's just me telling my students, and they're very short, 5 minutes, 4 minutes. The 7-minute video because they're getting ready to record their speech. So it takes a little bit longer to explain that. But look at my views, 2 views, 1 view, 3 views, 6 views, 10. No, okay. No. So I don't show them in class because in class I will just tell you and see if you have any questions. However, you have access to these if you missed the class, if you weren't paying attention, if you want to hear it again, you can easily look back. Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
So they know that it's there. That's I'm not saying like
yeah.
So it and say it, but it's like, hey, there's a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
If you forget something, or if you need some update, it's there.
And once I set these up, I taught the summer class last summer. When I teach my summer class this summer, same videos. Unless I change the syllabus, unless I change the schedule, all of this is the same. So yes, initially, like Anna said, you know, she spent a lot of time, but once those videos are created, if you don't change anything, reuse them every year. Like it doesn't matter. I try to make my videos where I don't say it's all of 22. I try not to do that, although they can look and see when it was created. Would they care? I don't know. But these, like one I did at the same time. And these, I might have done these close together. Like I would bring different outfits in my office and like change just so it looked like. And then one time I was like, I don't even care. And I wore the same thing and I recorded all of in a set of hours, maybe 2 hours, recorded all the videos wearing the same outfit. And I was like, I don't even care, because sometimes they don't even watch. And if they do watch, did they care? I don't know. So the third type of video that I record is the mini lecture. And I don't have any linked in this another playlist. I'm scared, Chad, if I navigate away, but I'm going to try it. I have another playlist that's just, oh, see, let's see. What should I do, Chad?
I think, is that the one still open?
Yes. Should I drag it? Okay. See, you all truly get to be the guinea pigs. Okay, here it is. Yes. Okay. So most of my videos are in my, see, there's 74 videos right here in my main channel. Oh, videos. So this is where the mini lectures live. So here's a 3-minute mini lecture on verbal communication. So the other thing is that I can click on the analytics of it. And then this is what you can see, which I think is pretty cool. 31 people have viewed it. They've watched it, a total of 1.2 hours, but it's, a very short video. You can see the views. So no views recently, but then a lot of views, more views right here. And I just think, like, wow, that's kind of cool to have access to. I don't care if I'm curious to look at and see. So the mini lectures I have embedded in the courses just so students can get a chapter overview if they need that to support them in their learning. I will say that one time I decided I would play them in class live while I was there. I know, it's really funny. And I haven't tried it here on this campus, but I did it at Cleveland State. And what I found, it was during COVID and we had to wear our masks. And so teaching with a mask was very difficult. So I thought, I've got these lectures. So I hit play. And then what I would do is I would out notes based on what I was saying on the screen. And I made cute little keyword tags, and I would, they were magnetic. I would pop them up there. And then what was fascinating was done, the video would play for a couple minutes. I would draw on the board and, recover my breath. Students would take pictures of the thing that I had drawn on. And I thought, how fascinating. And so then I said, hey, I'm tired. Chad, would you like to take notes while, and they thought that was great. And so, a 5-minute learning activity, played the video. And the other part is my videos are not perfect. And so that is a great way for me to model communication to my students, because sometimes I think for a speech class, they get really intimidated to give a speech in front of me. But if they watch my videos, they see mess ups. And I don't re-record 800 times, but we let it live with the flaws. And so it was just really fascinating. They got really excited about, oh yeah, let me try this week. I'm going to do the board. And so that became really fun, but I haven't done it here. I probably should try it here to see how our students respond as well. But here I found my screen. I don't have an extra board like I did at Cleveland State because my pull down screen covers the board. So there's not as much opportunity. Okay. Yes. The other thing that I was going to show you, and oh yes, I think it did. I think it pulled it back. Yes. Okay. The other thing I run as a strategy is a high flex class, which is what we are attempting to do today, except no one's online. But if you were my class, for all of my classes, I offer a high flex learning environment so that students can attend in seat or they can log in and attend from their house. William is now our new expert on Microsoft Teams, so I probably should give this portion over to you. But this is minimal. At the beginning of each semester, I just create a Teams channel for my class. So I make a cute little channel for them. And so it takes just a minute to type in. I use their at my Chattanooga State email account. I load them all into Teams. And then the first class meeting, I say, hey, we have a Teams channel. Most of them don't know what that means, which is another learning activity for them. Because if we're truly trying to make our students work ready, leave our class and enter the workforce, this is something that they need because William has been hired by Erlanger to teach Erlanger employees how to exist on Microsoft Teams. Our students, wouldn't that be nice if they just were like, no, I already know how to do that. I've been on Teams, my whole college career. The students love this. So I've been running a HyFlex class since 2021, I believe was my first year doing it. And I started doing it because it was modeled to me at UTC. They said, of course, you signed up for the course and be here when you can. But if you can't, no worries, you can attend. They use Zoom. And I used to use Zoom until I was like, no, we have access to Teams. We need to get our students on Teams. And it's very user-friendly. So you can see right here, I love the analytics also of Teams. You can see right here, this is my Monday, February 24th. Send the students out a meeting invite to all of the classes. This semester, for day one, I had students log on to the Teams. It might have confused them. They might have thought they had signed up for an online class. So some students were in seat for day one, and then a couple were online. And I said, hey, you found our Teams channel. Here you are. And in my mind, there's little advantage to being in seat when you have Teams, right? You can't see my feet on Teams, but they're not very you can interact, you can engage, you can hear me, you can do all the things at home if you want to, or in seat. It's your choice, right? So 12, well, that counts me. So really 11 students attended via Teams, and then the rest were in seat. Well, almost the rest, I might have had one or two absent. William.
Except that you have to stay. That would be the thing.
Okay, so right. So this classroom, does this one follow? Okay, so this one follows the camera right here. If I move around, it will follow. In the room that I'm teaching in right now, it does not. It is literally right here. And so, but Julie told me, shouldn't say this out loud, that we have a high-tech classroom over in humanities. So in the fall, I'll be teaching from that so that I can move around. The workaround is, yes, so I try to stay here, and then when I move around, then I'll say, I'll be right back. I tell them I'll be right back because I have to look at student work and guide groups. And then I have to also be aware that I have a group on Teams. And so I'll say, I'll be right back, or look over this, so there it is a little bit of a facilitation, but yeah, I think it's worth it because they want it.
They're still there.
They're still there.
And they can hear.
They can hear, they can't see me for a second when I step away. And I've had to adjust the monitor when we give speeches or, and sometimes I'll just take my laptop and I'll flip it around if the class is having a robust discussion and I want them to see. And the class gets a kick out of that too, because I'll have the Teams pulled up so they can see their classmates, they can see themselves even in the room. So I'm really excited to teach in that higher tech classroom in the fall. But yes, the other cool thing is the attendance is taken for me. I can see when the students enter the meeting and so I think that's also a really cool feature. If for some reason I get going and I'm teaching and I don't realize someone pops in and pops out, I can always go back and look, and I can even track their activity. There is I cannot see their engagement because that is a premium feature of Microsoft Teams that our college has not yet invested in, but maybe later. Yes. Oh, I forgot one thing. The other cool thing about using Teams is that I'm recording my class, and then students that can't be there at that time, they're at the doctor's office, they can go back and watch the recording later. So they don't miss class. And they can get a recap of the class if they don't have time to sit there for an hour and a half and watch it. So it's just really cool. You can tell I'm pretty passionate about it. So an unexpected cool feature, I have access to their chat after class. And what I have learned, there are some unexpected benefits to using Microsoft Teams in a HyFlex way. Students have started using it to avoid being late to class. They want to be in class, in seat, but traffic or they missed the bus or whatever. So if you look right here, Aryan, he says at 10:20, I'm at the door. He put that in the chat because my door was locked. And so he was on Teams. He was paying attention while he was late. The class started at 9:30. He's almost an hour late, but he's here, right? And I'm at the door. And so and I've had this happen multiple times. Students are on Teams and then they walk through, and I was like, and yeah, I was. And they didn't want to miss class, and they didn't have to, but they could still, things get, it happens, walk in, but you can still be there. And the other cool thing is that students are using the chat to build community with each other. They're being very supportive of each other on the chat. They're talking. And what is happening is that I'm finding students who are in person are also logging in because they have access as well, and they're typing in the chat. So you have that student that is maybe a little bit shyer, but wants to contribute, wants to participate, or just wants to have fun. And they're typing in person on the chat. There's two conversations happening at the same time. The live discussion, which people come off mic and, and they talk. Who wants to. You're not limited by the amount of space or time that we have to call on each participant because they're also typing. It's the coolest thing. The other fun thing that I realized when I was at the Achieving the Dream conference and our classes got canceled, Mary was going to cover my class. So we had that set up. Well, they canceled classes. So I was furiously trying to get an online hybrid assignment ready for them. They can do that instead. Session at the conference, and all of a sudden notifications or people are starting the meeting. My students are logging in from their houses through Teams. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it was Dr. Ethan Malik, or I would have just stepped out and just had class with them. But I was like, no, I'm here to see this man. Like, I'm so excited. He was my favorite speaker of the whole conference, and they were all great. So, you said, hey, and one by one, hey, we're not meeting today. I'm at a conference. I can't be with you. And then finally, I just gave up and I said, if you guys want to meet without me, like, go for it. Like, they knew the work they had to do. I was like, why am I stopping this? They're logging in. This is their routine. This is their habit. Weather doesn't stop us because we have this set up. It's instilled in them. And so I was like, man, I hate that I can't be with them because I wanted to be a person for that conference. But had that not happened, class would have just happened organically, naturally. It tried to happen even though I said, we're not having class, let's do this instead. They were ready to meet together. It was really cool. And I found that it's just really helped small group communication to already have this in place. They're more apt to talk to each other through this in small groups with it set up. Okay, so here is my data for HighFlex, and I'm still working with Nathan Petty and Tracy Wilson. There's better data that I can bring you. This is my own data that I've collected. So I started using HighFlex classes in 2021. And then this just shows this first term, this 7 weeks using HighFlex. But you can see the percentage of students absolutely low because that means they don't want to tune in to the virtual offering and they can't be in person. So it's really low. And then for virtual attendees, I think I would break, and probably by the fall, I'll break this record because my first 7 hybrid class, I think I'm on track. And this is 2024 and 2025 is when I switched to Microsoft Teams. This was all Zoom. So I think there's something to be said for that as well. Teams is just a lot more user friendly. And also they can access Teams from their phone. So they don't even need their computer if it's broken that day. So I'm interested to see how that continues to evolve. The other thing that I do, I stole this from Molly Shannon, and I use GroupMe for my students. I've had to switch. I tried using Teams at the high school, and then they got blocked from Teams. So I will say it's most popular with my high school students because we're allowed to use it. It's not blocked. And they love the engagement piece. They love to share pictures. This is our field trip to Chat State last year. but it is also popular with online. And it's just, I don't require them to do it. It's optional, but it's just a nice informal communication method. They don't feel like they're being graded. It's a great way to get help on assignments if they want it. And also, you can use emojis, but you can do that as well on Teams. So yes, William.
The first year that I used
She's great. She's great.
the first year that I used that in an online class, my attendance went up because, well, there's an upside and downside. They're always there. They're always texting, of course, and they do it in either just whenever. You can always turn it off.
Right.
But I didn't because it was an online class.
Mm-hmm.
But they are very, and I'm doing it again for my online class. And I'll say, hey, if you want to be a part of GroupMe, I'll post it on my newsfeed. Like, hey, yeah, this is a better place for me to. Don't know how to check eLearn
On their phone. Yeah.
They
It's
always-
very clunky.
Yeah, and I always put in. I put in my phone number, not my.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they can always get a hold of me to do that.
Well, and I will say, yes, they never stop texting. They'll text all that.
Oh,
But the other cool thing with this is that I found they'll sometimes beat me to it if they have a question. Sometimes I'm not the one, but another student.
yes.
Yes. So why wouldn't we want to encourage that? I've tried it as far as on the LMS on a discussion. Not been successful for me because that should be the same thing. But this they love. They love this.
They would always be like, hey, Mr. Bishop, experience this. Where how do I find this? And look.
And the other
They don't need me.
right. The other cool thing, if you've got using my phone while I'm troubleshooting, and because sometimes if it's in the LMS, then you have to like, okay, let me figure out my question and then and so navigating it is harder. But if it's on a separate screen while you're trying to, okay, I'm doing this, and it's got video and photo features as well that make it really helpful. Okay. Now we're ready to go back. We've covered our first topic. Oh, we're out of time too. Okay, then you have to come back to, that button didn't work. It took me to this. Oh, that's probably my fault. Okay, so good grief. Well, you're gonna have to come back to all of them. So what we did not cover, we didn't cover the theory, the chat seat data. I think we did a lot of participant idea exchange actually, without getting to the section. We did cover strategies, we did not cover tools, and time just really flew, unfortunately. So we have 2 more series. I'll do one on Tuesday. Are these being recorded? Okay, so if you can't attend live, but I did ask Thomas, apparently we are going to continue to discuss because we barely scratched the surface. QR code has the references that I used for all the slides, and I think we're also sharing the slideshow as well. So stay tuned. Yes, thanks for coming.
Thank
yes.
you.